What is going on, guys? My name is Tim Ruswick, and today we're talking about game feel. I'm going to show you some examples from my game about some of the things I did wrong and some of the things that I changed to make it much more juicy, much more effective. Specifically today, we're going to be talking about interaction and the importance of interaction, because one of the things that I've learned in game design is that it's just extremely, extremely important to have the player interact with stuff, because the world just feels so much more alive. So I want to show you an example real quick. We're going to go on my computer, and I want to show you, this was the original build from years ago of Phylophobia. It's got the new character in it, but this was the original kind of build. If you notice, the background is kind of blank, and all these hearts, they kill you, right? So these are they're just enemies. They do different things. That guy stays still. The black heart goes back and forth. The little guy or the stick heart just kind of rotates. And this is okay, right? It's like a basic platformer that just, it's not really interesting or anything. The shadow mechanic is interesting, but that's always been the interesting thing about Phylophobia. But the player can't interact with anything, right? All he can do is die. That's literally all he can do. That's literally all he can do in this entire level. And I can't even, I'm not trying to just die here. I literally can't even get past this. I'm going to try and show, oh, God damn it. I'm going to try and show you guys just so you can see what the end looks like. Okay, so here we are. Here's this little tower thing. I'm not going to make it. But at the end I'm just going to show you so you can see, there's this little portal at the end, and all you do is you just go in it, and then you fight the next thing so far. So real quick, this was the boss battle too, and I just want to show you that, like, these little white guys right here, that heart is bugging out. But these little white guys right here, the way this boss battle worked is you just have to stand behind them as the guy shoots. You just stand behind these things. That's all you do. And the boss shoots at you. And if you don't stand behind the white thing, then you're gonna have a bad time. So now you stand behind the white thing, right? So on this, all you have to do is avoid the obstacles and you die. If you don't avoid the obstacles, you die. That's just how it is. So here's some changes I made, more specifically with the enemy types. In this actual game. So I want to show you guys this. So this is an enemy I designed later on with this thought process of how can we make the enemy interactable. So if you notice, there's a little silhouette right here of a heart, and what happens is when you go past it, he comes in, and that I interacted with him there. He didn't kill me the first time, but he'll kill me the second time. And so interaction with the player makes a much more interesting little type of game design thing here, because now he's blocked the path, right? He's blocked the path for us, and once we go through there, we can't come out. It also creates a little interesting puzzle here where you got to figure out how to, like, get this little collectible without dying. What's really cool, what's really, really interesting, is we can use that in a lot of different interesting ways. If we go to, like, some of the more advanced levels, like this is the labyrinth, right? So this level is ridiculous. It's hard to navigate. It's hard to find your way around. But what makes it even worse is you notice there's some of those hearts there. So when I go this way, it blocks my path. So now I got to find my way around this labyrinth. I got to figure out where I'm going. But if I go the wrong way, I could block myself off. And it's like right there. I just accidentally blocked myself off. So the interaction creates a lot more, I think, sense of, like, game feel. I think it creates a better experience for the player, because they're the ones actively doing this. And if you take this a step further, not only can the player interact with the enemies, but if we go, I'll show you one of the crazier levels here. This level. So now, not only does the player interact with the enemies, but now the enemies interact with each other because they set each other off. And so it creates this really unique set of sort of like little, not only is it a puzzle, but it's a race against time now, because it's going to eventually block off my exit here as these guys kind of build upon each other. And there's so many different ways that you can use this because there's one element of interaction. Without the interaction, you can't do any of this. Let me show you another example of a level that I built just based around the interaction. Here's a level called All Good Things, and this is a racing level, basically. Because these things kill you if you're still touching them when they come in, you have to run through here. You have to run through here at full force as fast as you can so these things don't kill you. So again, this creates a really interesting dynamic, all because it's interactive. All because it's interactive. And like I told you, that boss battle that I was showing you before, where you just stand behind the heart, one of the things that we changed real quick was we made it to where you have to step on these little, actually I'll just show you in the editor because I'll do a different video about the boss battles. You have to step on these little buttons to activate the little barriers. And that made a big difference on the interaction. So I'm in the process of making all of my enemies in Phalophobia, all of the different enemies, interactable. And not only interactable with the player, but interactable with all the different other enemy types. And that creates such a better game experience, I think, because the player is in control of the encounters. And it also creates these divergent experiences where players can do things that change the way that the game world reacts. They can block off exits. They can set off chain reactions. They can do all this kind of stuff that they wouldn't be able to do in some of the earlier prototypes of the game, where literally every heart they touch just dies. So I think interaction is really important in game design. It's one of those things that's not really talked about a lot. Like, obviously, the point of playing a game is to interact with the game. That's what defines games versus movies, interactive experiences. But a lot of people, especially new game developers, get this wrong. I got this wrong. You saw my earlier prototype. Like, the game did not work well. Like, it worked okay as a platformer. Like, oh, that's interesting. But it didn't feel like it had a soul. It didn't feel like it was really a well-designed game. It just felt like, okay, avoid these things or you die, right? And I think it's really important to kind of understand that, because interaction is so critical to how your game gets received, to how people interact with the game, to how it works. And I hope I was able to kind of show you some good examples of how all that works. I hope it helped you out. If you have any questions on this, if I did help you out, if I didn't, either way, leave me a comment below, hit the like button or dislike button if you hate this video. Either one of those help, to be honest. It doesn't really matter to me. But I appreciate you guys hanging out. Anything at all you have to ask it down below. But once again, I'm Tim Roswick, and I will see you tomorrow.